Welcome
What's
everybody to
up?
KBFA podcast episode 3. Yes.
Yes,
Woo.
yes. Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am one of your hosts, Lonnie Hobbs Jr., Marketing Research Director for Kansas Black Farmers Association. I got here with me, of course, my man, my guy, Mr. Justin Howard. Justin, say what's up.
What's up everybody? Welcome. It's Justin Howard, um, grant director for the 2501 grant, and we are excited to be here with Miss Destiny Flemons. Destiny, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, I'm Destiny.
Hey, so Destiny,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am officially a Kansas resident. I'm from Atlanta. Yes, the DeKalb County to be for specific.
Oh, oh
So
my
on the
goodness.
outskirts, but I still county. I am a daughter of two military veterans.
All right.
I am an awesome sister. I think I'm an awesome person, outdoorsy person as well. Of course, a black woman. Hello. And of course, a proud alumni of the best university in SEC, Mississippi State University.
Oh man. So she said Mississippi State. I guess I'll give you a round of applause for that one.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
guess.
mhm.
Because you did say SEC. Now we're
Yes.
talking about 1862s. Of course, we got to say Kansas State University. But I may be a little biased, so I'm going to let Destiny make it with that one. Hey, so Destiny, you're
Yes.
here representing Pheasants Forever, Quails Forever. So
Yes.
briefly, tell us about this organization and what exactly is the purpose and function of the organization.
Yes, so Pheasants and Quail Forever is one of the top habitat organizations in the nation. Their goals is to, of course, conserve habitat through improving habitat, through education, wildlife advocacy, things of that nature. And we do a lot of work with farmers and landowners. Um, so we making sure that wildlife actually have a voice. So that's what we do.
Okay. One round of
So what
applause.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what do you do specifically in your role?
So I am what is considered a farm bill wildlife biologist. My specialty is wildlife, but I work under the farm bill. And the farm bill is a lot. Like they cover a whole lot of things that we can benefit from. But specifically, my job is to draw up conservation plans to offer technical assistance to those who might be interested in soil health, who might have erosion problems with their farmland, any type of things that might potentially be beneficial to habitat or wildlife habitat or any of the pollinators.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Very busy woman, I see.
very.
Hey, so you said you provide technical assistance. I'm
Mhm.
sure as a part of that, there's some type of educational piece. So, in your current role, what are some of the educational resources that you provide, and whether that is information, physical resources, etc.? Like, what? Give us a breakdown of some of those educational pieces that you're providing.
Yeah, so typically I'm just 9 months in, so I'm still getting trained by the NRCS, which stands for the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which is a branch
Okay.
of the USDA.
USDA.
Yeah, so we have to do a couple of training in order to talk about things. But typically, when I meet with a landowner, I like to see what are their conservational goals, or if I'm doing education and outreach, I talk to them about why do we need to talk about wildlife in the first place. It's because we're all together, we're all in this world, and understand that all living things need water, shelter, space, oxygen. And not a lot of that is accessible to wildlife. And some of the things that I've learned is how can we have them linked, or how can we see that? So typically what I do is I'll provide a lot of information via brochure, and it kind of depends on the audience, because I might just take them outside and actually show them so that they can actually make the connection on themselves to say, hey, I learned this instead of being in the classroom. So I can put, it depends on the audience a little bit.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I see that you're an advocate for adopting and protecting pollinators, and we just purchased our first hive, and so we're kind of hopping into the space. So tell us about that. Why?
Hey, we're not gonna let you just skip by that, Justin. We
Right.
heard you say you just purchased your first hive,
Come
man.
on, talk your talk. Hmm.
And so we're pretty new to it all, and we just kind of want you to speak to why is that important to kind of support the pollinators in our communities, in our rural communities, specifically on farms and etc. And
Yeah.
why do you have a passion for that?
Yeah. So I don't know if y'all can catch it on the, but I am wearing my bead earrings. I've been wearing them
I
a lot.
see.
Fancy.
I know. Thank you.
Me.
Pollinators are super, super important. I mean, majority of the world depends on them. At least 75% of the crops or vegetables that or fruits or vegetables that we actually consume is dependent on pollinators. Um, so definitely I'm all about having or being a voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Pollinators are super, super important, not just because they pollinate the things that we eat, but also they're important to the habitat. When I typically get a lot of questions about, okay, Destiny, you're a farm bill wildlife biologist, and some of them might be hunters, or I was tell them if we have pollinators, that lays the foundation to a good quality habitat. There are indicators that pollinators act as indicators to a healthy environment. And another thing that I've learned, even just being around the rural community, is that having pollinators even around adjacent to most of these croplands, they can actually increase yield. And not a lot of people know about that. And I mean that makes sense. There's a bunch of studies done in the U.S. that says, hey, especially the one by University of Michigan or Michigan State, I believe, and they say that literally pollinators increase your yields, and they also benefit from wildlife habitat as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hey, round of applause for all the people out there protecting pollinators.
Hello.
Yeah. Give it up. Give it up.
So that leads me to another question though. So you've just broken down why it's important to protect the pollinators. I want to take it a step further and ask, how do we protect the pollinators?
Yeah. So definitely I'm a person of prairie strips. If we can increase the amount of prairie strips we have, especially in Kansas, we'll start to see some more pollinators. And basically they're just areas that is planted to native grass and native plants that pollinators love. So definitely that. We can also limit the amount and reduce the amount of pesticide used.
Mm.
I do believe, especially the interactions I've had with farmers, knowing that they want to do better. I do appreciate hearing their experience, but pesticides can infect the crop. They can harm it as well, and so I know that's an issue. However, reducing the amount could bring more pollinators that can increase your yield as well. So we can definitely do that, and I think those are the main ones that I kind of want to focus on for the state of Kansas is increasing the amount of prairie strips or planting certain areas that don't really is not really productive for yield, back to native grass, and reducing pesticide use.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I know that you mentioned earlier that you work with the NRCS.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. Um, so can you speak more to that and kind of your on what you do also with USDA in general?
Yeah.
What kind
So
of programs are out there, et cetera, like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the way that I kind of like to break things down is you have the USDA. The USDA has, I think, 17 facets. Then we have the NRCS, again, that stands for the Natural Resource Conservation Service. And under them, they do the same thing that I do. We both offer technical assistance under the Farm Bill. Now, in order to we can strategize or construct a program based on your practices. So some of the main ones that I've done recently are the ones that are doing with soil health, prescribed grazing, brush management. I know a lot of people who are getting into the urban farming right now want to have hoop houses. Even some who are getting into organic produce. There are certain practices that the USDA or the NRCS will fund you for participating in those things. They're just literally voluntary practices that you can get reimbursed for. And I think that's interesting when I came on to say, like, hey, if I do these practices, they are voluntary programs or practices, they'll make a program for me, and then I'll get reimbursed for it. I think that's pretty cool. So again, it just based on the practices and your conservation goals will tell you what practices you're probably thinking about.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so I want to ask one more thing. Not
Yeah.
off script. Uh, you mentioned the different practices of our
Mm-hmm.
farmers and what we can implement to increase our yields. Can you briefly touch on the concept of cover crops? I know I've seen that you've done some work with cover crops. You seem to be a big advocate. So if you can just briefly just let our viewers know the importance of cover crops.
One of the cool things I'm learning about soil, because again, soil is the home to your crop. They are super, super important to how big your harvest is going to be. And that's one thing that I kind of look at whenever I go on a site visit is what's your soil looking like? What are the management strategies? And when we bring in cover crops, you want to make sure that the soil is covered. And that's exactly what cover crops do. I think cover crops, just the science of them, is super, super important I would say essential, because once you do have those cash crops, especially the ones in Kansas, once they're taken off, you can literally plant that cover crop before and after that cash crop. And the cool thing about them is that there's actually cost share from the state and from the government that you can literally take benefit on. And covering your crop or covering your soil is super, super important to one of the soil health principles, is making sure it's covered, because that acts as armor from soil erosion that comes from water, wind, and all that nature.
Mhm.
So they're important, y'all.
You hear, guys? Make sure you use cover crops. Use cover crop. Hey, so another question.
Hmm.
We see you've carried many impactful roles since your time at Mississippi State. How has your journey helped you succeed in the role you currently hold?
Ooh, I think bringing like filming my journey. I don't know what has caused me to film my journey, because that's about my personal life, y'all. But I think, and I've gotten pretty like a good response from a lot of people, especially on my social media, is me showing like the hard times. After college, I thought that I was just going to get this full-time job because I had a degree. But that's technically not true. There are some other things I had to get along the way in order to get to where I am now. And me filming to say, okay, I need more technical experience. I literally drove, and most of my community was with me. I drove from Atlanta all the way to California just to get technical experience because I was driven. And them showing, like, going with me and say, okay, this is day one, this is day two, I'm passing by Colorado, this is what I look like. And showing them when I got there what I learned, and
Mm,
seeing how I'm literally using the things that I learned in California to where I am now.
okay.
And showing people along the way to say, hey, it's just one step at a time, and being vulnerable in that space. I think that has helped me be more effective when it comes to how do I address community? Can I be real with community? And how impactful can you be about just sharing your story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Nice.
Big round of applause.
Okay,
Love the
on that,
tenacity. Love
Hmm.
it.
yes, the drive, all of that, and I like
Yes.
to shout out to Colorado too. So,
Okay. I'll be back.
Oh man.
Hmm.
okay. Any parting words or advice for farmers? Anything on the menu coming up that you can let our network know about, or put us in the game, Coach?
Yeah. So when I got this job, I automatically knew, and nobody told me this, but being that Kansas is, I believe, 98% privately owned, you're going to be working with landowners. And the way I came in was saying, if I understand the challenges that the farmers face, then I can be more relatable and even more help to them. Because my job is to serve the people. Our job is to serve the people. The NRCS's job is to serve these people. I speaking to all the farmers out there, that your experience matters. I literally, if it wasn't for the people or the farmers that had literally showed me their operation, not just for working basis, just in general, showed me the nooks and crannies of what it is to be a farmer, I wouldn't have got interested into farming. I didn't grow up as farming, so their experience or just what they have to give is so, I mean, it's so great. And speaking from an NRCS standpoint, I would say that there are programs that are strategically geared to help. And when I say this is whenever you go into the NRCS office, although I do understand the generational issues over the years with the USDA, they I'm starting to make improvement, and that's what I am glad about. And when if you go to the office and there is a practice that you want to do and a plan, or a program that you are interested in, and we get you into that program, once we rank you, there is this thing called historically underserved. So what happens is when we start ranking your program for you to be funded, you're in a different set pool. And if you follow under those who are indigenous, people of color, or beginning farmers, not only can you get higher cost share, but you're in a totally different pool, so you don't have to worry about them treating you any differently.
Mm,
That's what I like, because the higher pay for that is really, really great. And as well, farmers, we still want to hear from y'all to see how we can help y'all better. And if y'all are interested in wildlife, for sure, let us know. There is about 14 um, Farm Bill wildlife biologists that is all over Kansas that is willing to help you. And they know it because I brag about y'all all the time. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Big round of applause.
Yes.
Shout out to the USDA in their NRCS. Shout out to Pheasants and Quail Forever. And
Okay.
Destiny, we just want to say thank you. This has been awesome. You shared a lot of great knowledge that our farmers can utilize, our members, and as well as our viewers. So I do
Mm-hmm.
want to give you another round of applause. Yes, yes. So do you mind if I ask one more kind of bonus question?
Yes, what's up?
What's next?
um, I think I'm going to continue to serve the people.
Yes.
I do in the next couple of years, I do want to dab into the policy aspect of things.
Okay.
I might even, go back to school because I told my parents I'm not coming home until I become a doctor and have my PhD.
Hey.
Oh.
Shout out to the
So
Okay, man.
that's that's basically it right now. It's on the horizon.
Oh man,
Nice.
I know you're gonna do well. Whatever direction you go, whatever you put your hand in, I know you're gonna do
Positive
well.
energy towards that for sure.
Yeah, yes, definitely, definitely. Hey, Justin, before we sign off, do you got any parting thoughts, any parting information that needs to be shared?
I'm at this time just keep an eye out for the emails and social media. Always communicate with us if you find something that you think you're early on or you got the info on early. Let us know for sure. We'll share it with the rest of the group, and you guys just keep working. I know it's uh, kind of for our smaller specialty farmers. It is the season, so good luck and forward thinking towards that. And thank you to Destiny. Thanks for sharing your
Oh yes.
information,
Thank
your
you.
brightness with everything. We appreciate it. And yeah, looking forward to other future endeavors for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Thank
And
y'all for
she's
letting me
mentioned.
speak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing. One more request. Before we sign off, to all of our members, she's mentioned quite a bit of times understanding what you need as farmers. If you have not currently filled out the KBFA Farmer Needs Survey, please make sure you get that filled out. We'll send out another email link so then you guys can have access to it. If you haven't gotten the link, please send us an email, kbfa@kbfa.org. But with that being said, I think we are going to sign off. Thank you again to Destiny.
Okay.
Big shout out to my man Justin Howard. Big shout out
Shout
to
out to Lonnie.
KBFA. Almost, baby, almost. But yeah, I'm excited to do this, man. And we are out.
Peace out, guys.